So this is the intention for today. We already looked at this slide. All right, so how to know if you're in the right place. We talked a little bit about who you are, this desire to be expressed. You shared your desires. And a lot of you want Instagram to be a place where you get to be yourself, where you get to show up fully. And a lot of things might come up on that journey. You know, there's a lot of this feeling of like, okay, we have to be perfect or we have to get it right. And that could lead us to like a lot of overwhelm and confusion. So I also call this masterclass introverted IG queen. So maybe some of you were drawn to that. Maybe you are introverts. I tend to attract a lot of introverts, a lot of empaths, and a lot of sensitive women that have a resistance to showing up online. You know you have an important message. You know you're here to share like powerful work that it will change the planet, and yet there's this like resistance, right? So what can happen also is this comparison. Maybe there's people out there doing similar things than you, and then you don't want to show up because you're like, oh, well, someone else is already doing that, right? And then you feel some unexpressed potential in you because you know you have so much to offer. So yeah, I'm already hearing that's me, totally me, lol, right? And this was me too, and this is me sometimes still. So like, I feel you, same, Lika, amazing. And so you have this desire to either create a conscious business or you already have your conscious business, and it's a natural expression of your heart. And you just want to learn how to bring all of this online in a way that just feels really good, really nourishing to you. So it sounds like a lot of people are resonating. I love it. If there's anything else that here that maybe you think I'm missing or that really resonates with you, you can let me know in the chat box. Something maybe that might be blocking you from showing up. Yeah, just tune into that and see if there's something coming up. Like, okay, there's also this piece that makes me hold back from really putting it all out there on IG. So cancel culture. That's an interesting one, right? Fear of like criticism, fear of people rejecting you. Very true. So I love that you brought that one up. And we'll be talking about all these, and like the tips that I'll be giving you today and the strategies are really going to help you overcome a lot of these pieces that are so natural to come up, right? All right, so a little bit of the path that we'll be following today. Oh, it's an identity shift for me, Kate says. Old friends or followers, judgment into me stepping into my full expression. Yeah, fear of judgment of the people in our field. And already that, I'll talk about it a little bit after, but there's like, it's really getting clear on who you're speaking to. That's going to make all the shift for that. And then having yourself. So today is going to be perfect for you. There's going to be so much like goodness for that specific, block. So today I'll be diving a little bit about like what is introverted IG queen, the queen archetype, like my story related to that. The 5 keys that will really help you in that expression and showing up and making Instagram a place where it's like fun and where you can be of service. We're going to do a little embodiment practice and IG queen activation. And at the end, I'll be announcing a special offer, and there'll be a little time for Q&A. If you stick around, you can ask questions and we can dive deeper. So someone has their microphone on. If you could all turn off your mic. Yes, the photographer is incredible. She's a photographer in Costa Rica. She's amazing. I could give you her link after if you want. Thank you. All right. So let's get started. Let's get started. All right. So who am I? Well, and why IG Queen? So you might have seen me if you follow me on Instagram, like essentially dancing on a pole in lingerie or doing spontaneous lives for fun. And I just want you to know that I wasn't always so comfortable and confident on Instagram. Actually, it was quite the opposite. I started on Instagram in 2014. When I launched my first business, I had an online lingerie store. And I had studied background. I studied business, and I had a fashion buying background before that. And so I understood the business part and the strategy pieces and like all the branding stuff. But when it came to like actually showing up, I was so terrified, I had social anxiety growing up. And like the idea of like showing up on camera was just like, no, like I couldn't even like fathom that I'd be doing this right now. And so like, I used to be really disconnected from my feminine, and even to this day, like until really recently, like giving workshops, I would get so nervous. I would feel like super lightheaded for like 24 hours before, and like I'd feel like physically sick. Okay. So I really understand what it feels like to kind of have that resistance to really showing up and being seen. Like that's been my biggest fear in my life, and my biggest struggle. You know, at some point I was using alcohol to try to be like extroverted and to try to show up and be more in this energy of like being what I thought people wanted me to be, right? And so this became my mission. Like this is literally what I help women with. I help them with their branding. I combine the masculine and the feminine together, you know, the strategy, the branding with the embodiment work. And that combination is what really helps you to have the confidence to show up online. People hire me now literally to be able to be more of themselves in their business, to be able to show up in a way where they honor their feminine and they understand like the actual business part and how to like grow their online brand and attract the clients that they want. So the reason I called it introverted IG queen is because the introverted piece is basically, even if you're not an introvert, these tools and practices are going to be really helpful for you, because we all have like a story of that thing that's blocking us, right? You know, like, oh, I'm too like this, or I'm not enough like that. And so for me, it was that I was quiet, that I was introverted, that I was shy. And so the point here is that when you're yourself and when you give yourself that permission to be who you are, like you end up calling in the right people. You end up, that's your magnetism. It's really when you're being yourself. So that's essentially how I was able to grow my business, how I was able to have a successful online lingerie business for 7 years, to grow my Instagram, to now live this life where I feel so fulfilled. I work with the most amazing clients, and I just feel really blessed. It was this combination of both the masculine and the feminine, this idea of like authenticity and bringing in the branding. And this is all the stuff I'll talk about today and share with you. So I want to just dive into a little bit of this queen archetype before we get into the 5 keys. Because this queen energy, so when you think of a queen, she's the archetype of this really multi-dimensional, sovereign, empowered, authentic, creative, like resourceful, magical, spiritually connected being, right? She's in her feminine, and yet she's powerful. She gets shit done, right? There's this energy that magnetizes when you think of the queen. And I resisted the queen archetype for the longest time. I don't know about you, if that's like an archetype that resonates with you, or if it's something you've kind of been like, I don't know. Like when I heard the queen, I always thought of like Beyonce, and I was like, I'm kind of more of a Rihanna girl. So yeah, Kimmy, it's the one I embody the least. Yeah. So like I never really fully like got behind the queen archetype, because I feel I have like a bit more of like a rebellious streak, and like it didn't really activate me until like really recently. And then I started understanding what was happening there. And I used to think that I had to be in my masculine to be successful in business. You know, like we see people online, they're very like, you know, these women that are very assertive and they're almost like aggressive. And there's this feeling of like having to follow this sort of like bro marketing tactics and like the way that the men have been doing business for a really long time. And so I thought this idea of like CEO energy was like so masculine. I didn't want any part of it. And then I realized the queen archetype is our portal to accessing that power energy, that like very commanding energy, because she leads, but she leads from her feminine, right? She's like super connected to her intuition. She's connected to the divine. She trusts her path. She's like so embodied. She like knows her worth. She doesn't question herself, right? She's fucking powerful, and she doesn't have to pretend to be a man. She's like fully who she is. And so when that clicked, I was like, oh, the queen archetype, she's like that balance of like doing and being, that's just like encompassed in one like feminine archetype. And so it was a liberation there. When we start thinking of it that way, we say, okay, like I can call on this archetype in my business and show up to do marketing and show up to do sales in a way that feels good to me, because she's not just for herself, she's also there for her people, you know, for the greater good. She's here to be of service as well. So I thought that was a really beautiful kind of realization. And that's why I call this Instagram masterclass IG Queen, like introverted IG Queen, to show you that you can rule from your feminine, you know, you can rule your space from your feminine. And we all have this archetype within us. And we're going to be activating him today. So how does that feel up to now? Like, do you resonate with the Queen archetype? Yeah, so I know some of us don't embody her that much. Yeah, Rihanna energy when you want to feel empowered. Not yet, but working on it. Yeah, Vanessa with the Queen of Love archetype. So you're familiar with her in like the love romance space, but like bringing her into the business space, that's really interesting, right? That's like a little bit different. Yeah, rebellious queen energy, like Lilith vibes. I love that, Kate. Kemi, excited to embody her more and to get comfortable. Yeah, like just getting familiar with her. That's what we're going to be doing today. And so what does that look like on IG and in our business, right? So this idea of IG Queen, she doesn't chase, right? She doesn't chase clients or fight for attention. She's not like comparing herself to anyone out there because she's so in her experience, right? So she commands energy with her feminine, she commands attention with her feminine energy, with her authentic expression and that deep trust in herself and her mission. So it's probably the same as in like a love relationship, right? It's like when you're in the queen energy in a romance, it's like, okay, you're holding your own, you know your worth, and then you're magnetizing from that place of feminine power. So Sarah says, I used to embody her and got called fairy queen a lot by random people. Interesting. So other people could see that in you. That's so beautiful. In your teenage years, Fanny. Yes. Yeah, she's not fully activated. I know, Lily, that's the thing. It's like, it's almost sometimes we have these resistance to different archetypes. Some of them come more easily to us. And so, yeah, it feels good to explore her like in these spaces together. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen because I'll come back to the slides after. But to be completely honest, I didn't have time to finish all the slides. So I'll just be sharing here, and I'll be able to see your reactions as well, which is always nice. All right, so now I want to start diving into the 5 keys that help you to really show up on Instagram and have an Instagram that feels really good for you and that magnetizes, right? So the key number 1, and I'm going to give you a summary of all 5 of them at the end, so you'll have them. But key number 1, let's go. A queen loves herself. So that's like the first step. That's the foundation of everything. It really starts, being able to show up online really starts with deeply loving yourself and knowing what you're here to offer and what your gifts are. I always start all my one-on-one calls, all my one-on-one sessions, diving into my client's heroine's journey. Like, what was her journey like? What are her gifts? What were her struggles? How did she overcome them? Because often that's the gift we're here to bring other people. So there is this aspect of like knowing yourself and loving yourself. And ultimately knowing that this is all about knowing that you're the magic, right? Like your energy is the magic, loving yourself is the magic. So to get, and this is like a statement that's really powerful, to get what you want in life, you have to be who you are and you have to love who you are. So just being yourself and loving yourself already magnetizes. And the other piece when it comes to Instagram here is doing it for you first. So of course we have, there's the strategy of showing up in your business and Instagram and having this like dream client that you're speaking to, finding your niche. And I teach that, and that's part of the program that I'm going to be talking about later. But first, you have to create and post because it inspires you, because you love what you're creating. because you are getting to experience yourself. When you're showing up online, you're getting to see yourself. You're getting to experience yourself as this queen, as this magnetic leader, and you fall in love with your expression. And that's actually like, people are going to really feel the way that you feel about the work that you're creating. So the first step is really getting into that vibration of like, okay, do I love what I'm creating? Am I connected to my why? Am I connected to my mission? Because if you're not in love with it, there's a disconnect happening, right? So ask yourself, and this could be something you journal about and take more time with, but ask yourself, like, where do you come alive? You know, what is your mission? What is your why? What lights you up? And that's going to be the thing that's going to drive you, that's going to hold you, that's going to help anchor you and help activate you and show up online in that confidence. So before you post or before you create something, create a ritual for yourself, you know, approach it like a sacred practice instead of like a chore. Because a lot of us feel like, how many of you feel like, oh, I have to post on Instagram. Like I have to show up on Instagram. And oh, I have to show up every day because some marketing guru told me I have to show up every day on Instagram. So, oh my gosh, you know, and then you put this pressure on yourself. And it's like, where's the fun in that? Like you lose the spark and you're like, you're kind of bored. You're kind of being, you know, maybe some of you worked in like corporate jobs or like left, you know, the matrix, or you're just like in that transition, and you know, you're stepping into this new way of like this new paradigm leadership, and you're like implementing the old way in this new lifestyle that you're creating for yourself, right? And it's like, no, we get to shift how we operate, and you don't have to operate from this place of pushing and forcing. Yeah, Vanessa says, yeah, the show the fuck up slang. Yeah, everyone's always like, show up, show up, show up. And it's like, I go like sometimes a long time without showing up, you know, like I honor my body and my cycle. Like when I'm PMSing and on my moon, like I take a step back. Like I don't force myself to show up if I don't want to. And that's the feminine way, right? It's getting to trust yourself, getting to know yourself, and making it fun. And it doesn't mean like, okay, we're not going to show up at all. It means like, how can we make this fun? How can we inspire ourselves to show up? And so that energy is also what people are drawn to, that confidence and that love for yourself. So that's where your magnetism lies. And so one of the practices that I give a lot of my clients, well, all my clients, pretty much my one-on-one clients, and that will actually be in the program that I'll be talking about after, is a mirror work practice. So like sitting with yourself in the mirror, and you can already do this. I guide my clients today and offer an audio, but you can do it on your own, is really sitting with yourself and seeing yourself. Because when you can see yourself and meet yourself, it's so much easier to let others see you. And so that's like a small practice to help you. And also to keep in mind, it's really normal to come up against all those stories and those limiting beliefs and those reasons why you don't want to show up, right? And on this journey of entrepreneurship and coaching and all of that, you know, there's going to be insecurity, there's going to be self-doubt, there's going to be this idea that we have to be perfect. Imposter syndrome is going to get in the way. Do any of you feel some of those come up sometimes when you're creating? When you're about to show up online, like stories that come in? Can't be the only one. Yes, 100%. Amazing. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, is there one in particular? Imposter syndrome, because info is available online, but the dilemma with having invested money on myself in education. Yeah, I feel like this one is so common. So basically what you're saying, I feel like a lot of the things I want to share have already been done better. So why try? Yeah, don't know what to talk about. It's always the same reason I don't create. Okay, so that's such a big one that my clients always share. They're like, oh, but someone else did it. And you have to remember, it's like, no one is you, and no one will do it the way that you do it. No one will share the way that you share, has had the life experience that you've had. And having those codes, like that information pass through your body, like all of us in this room can have the same information moving through us. And the way that we're each going to deliver is going to be a different transmission. Like you can take everything I taught today and teach it, and it will be completely different and it will resonate differently. I mean, the things that maybe you haven't embodied won't land, and we'll talk about embodiment a little bit after. But the fact, like all your experiences will make it different and will make it land with different people that are meant for your work, for your transmission, for the way that you bring it forward. And there's a bunch of people around you waiting for you to offer it to them, and they could only receive it from you because there's something in your energy that they resonate with and that they connect with. It's almost karmic. Yes. Oh my God, there's so much good stuff here. Like I want to answer everything. But we have quite some stuff to get into. But yeah, okay. I want to talk about that you have to be perfect and in integrity, and you have to be at your highest to share. We can dive deeply into this. Maybe we'll come back to this one at the end, Emma, because there's a lot to say in that one. So yeah, it's almost karmic. It really is. It's like a soul contract. So when you're experiencing all of these things, these symptoms that are coming up, there's a little awareness I want to bring that it's actually your ego getting in the way. Because when we feel blocked around showing up and there's all these stories coming up about it's already been done and I have to be perfect, the key here is to know that that's not the truth, and that's not in highest service of your mission. If you just step aside and allow your mission to flow through you, like your ego's not in the way anymore. And these stories are your ego trying to protect you, right? And so the thing to remember here is that it's not about you. Yes, you love yourself. Yes, you know your gifts. Yes, you know that you have so much to offer. That's like that queen energy of knowing like her power and her worth and her value. And then you realize that it's not about you, it's beyond you. It's in service of something greater. So whenever you're in that state of like, oh, it's not good enough, all those stories, it's like coming back to like, this isn't about me. Like, this is about my mission. Like personally, my mission is to anchor the feminine on this planet. And like every woman I work with is about that, you know, like we're all here because we believe in the feminine and we're all like on this journey together. And so remembering that and being like, it's not just for me. It's not just for me to be expressed and to do that. It's also for this greater mission. And that drives you forward and that helps you to show up. And then it becomes easier. So key number 2 is a queen speaks truth. So we go from like loving herself, knowing herself, to actually being able to speak that truth. So to be an IG queen, you have to start saying the things that everyone else is afraid to say. So you have to be willing to like go out on that limb and get real. So in that, you're going to be repelling those that are out of alignment and magnetizing the ones that are for you. This is the soulmate clients. This is the karmic link, right? This is like the soul contract that we have with each other. These people want to see you. They want to feel you. They want to see you in your power. And a queen, she doesn't settle for lukewarm. She doesn't show up lukewarm. She doesn't people please. And that's like, Emma, like this is coming back to what you were saying. This idea that we could only be in our highest or we have to be perfect. That's like that people pleasing energy that we were conditioned, you know, we have to be perfect. Like, but the feminine is all of it. The feminine is like the chaos, the darkness. She's like the radiance, the beauty, all of it. And we get to be seen in all of it. You know, sometimes I do show up in my PMS and I'm like, rah, you know, and I like share that energy, and there's power and magic in that phase, you know. It's really about tuning in and honoring yourself and knowing that your truth is the magic, you know, you get to speak your truth. The queen, she takes a stand for what she believes in, you know, and yes, people might, you know, the fears come up when we say that. Like, I'm sure you're like, oh shit. But like, okay, people might criticize me. I might be canceled. And that's the thing. It's like, that's a big possibility. And we have to be able to stand in that and be okay with that and trust that our truth is, the truth itself is of service. And even if people don't like it, that's okay. You're going to have a whole group of people that are going to be sitting there like, thank you for speaking this. Thank you. They're going to be in gratitude for that. So all those fears that are going to come up when you start like speaking truth and being like, can I say this? Can I say this? We have to understand that IG is actually a reflection of the relationship that you have with yourself. It's a reflection of the relationship you have with your feminine, with your inner child. It activates all our inner child stuff, our attachment styles. It's almost like we're speaking about our own self-worth when we're looking at Instagram. It's like, what do we think we deserve? What are our beliefs about love? You know, do you think you have to be nice to receive love? Do you think you have to only be shiny and happy? So Emma, like, again, like that kind of, do we have to always be perfect? And that's like, if you look back on your childhood, maybe that's what you were taught, right? Like you had to be like quiet, or you had to be, you know, you had to be pretty, or you had to be like really nice, and you couldn't be like aggressive, you couldn't be like loud, or you couldn't like express yourself. Like I know for me, I grew up and I had to be like perfect and I couldn't make mistakes. And it was really stifling for me. So in my business, I would like, oh my God, I'm doing it wrong. It would cause me like a physical like breakdown of like fear of putting something out there and having someone like criticize it, or having someone think it was wrong, right? And so that awareness, and this is something you could really journal about, like ask yourself, like, what are the beliefs that I had in childhood, or I still had around who I have to be in order to receive love? And so those are the things that are blocking you from truly showing up in your power on Instagram and in your business. So how do we graduate from this sort of like victim, like princess kind of archetype into like the queen archetype of taking that full ownership? Because there's a lot of like victim consciousness that happens in this space, and it's to protect ourselves, right? Like I'm not shaming you or anything like that. I've been in this so much and I still fall into this. It's feeling like, oh, I can't have what I want, or I can't live the life I want because of external things, you know, putting the blame on something outside of ourselves. You know, with Instagram, it could be like, oh, I can't get clients because the algorithm isn't showing my posts to people, or I don't have enough followers. I hear that all the time, right? Like I don't have enough followers, or I'm not good at showing up on video, or, you know, I'm not an extrovert. Like that was a big one for me. You know, whatever story you have around why you can't, you know, have the things that you desire. You know, you shared your desire at the beginning, why you can't show up, why you can't call in clients. And so sometimes we'll like avoid and we'll hide because of those beliefs. And the invitation is to shift into this queen consciousness, which is of ownership, which is of allowing. So that looks like positively looking at what is for you, what is aligned for you. You know, trusting that the things that are not aligned are just not showing up in your field, taking full ownership, becoming more of who you are so that you can receive what you want, right? There's this idea of receiving. When we're in our feminine, we're receiving, we're not chasing. And it's having this deep trust in your journey and your path. So one of the exercises here, so does that resonate? Do people feel like you've been in some, maybe falling into victim consciousness, and like you've probably felt that queen consciousness as well, that like ownership at times, and maybe there's a dance between those two, or you go into avoidance where you're like, oh, I'm scared. I have this story that if it's not perfect, I have to leave, I can't show up, and then that prevents you from being seen. You know, you're like blocking yourself in a sense. So Emma has shared, yes, coming back to your why, your mission, and being lit up by that again. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? This work, like these types of practices, is something like I come back to continuously, and I've been doing this for years. Like I sit down and go through like all the steps, you know, all the steps to be like, okay, what's my why? Like, what am I doing this for? And yeah, making it personal. I understand. Yeah, it's personal and it's for humanity, right? It's having that balance of understanding that it's like, it really gets to be both, and we don't have to pick. And Kemi, for me, it's also the fine line between keeping time for myself and processing your emotions versus being raw, authentic, and vulnerable on camera. Yes. So with that here, it's also like being discerning and honoring yourself and your needs. Like, what do you need to feel good? Maybe processing on camera is like not the thing, right? Like I always say, process on your own and then bring from an empowered place, from a complete place where you feel solid. That's queen energy. Like some people like to just show up in their full, like present moment, like, and that's, if they feel empowered in that, that's great. For me, like I always like to recommend and do for myself is like do my practices where I'm in my darkness and my shadow and I'm in it. And then I exit it with that lesson, with that point of view of like that higher level point of view where I'm like, hey, I've processed this. I'm able to show you that I've been through this and be of service by showing you the process and like what the outcome is and what the lesson is. And I know that will be of value to my people. So it's not necessarily like, you don't have to show like the deep, dark, like rawness of like your experience, but you can be vulnerable with those stories. You know what I mean? There's like a little difference there. Thinking your raw, authentic soul transmission isn't linked to your business, so that stops you from sharing it. Right. So we are so connected to our business, and like who we are is going to magnetize. So this is going to have to do with the next key. And I'll talk about it a little bit more. But before we go there, I want to do a little exercise that you can like start now and then again have more time to dive into after, because it's a really powerful one. Is making a list of all the negative beliefs that you have around marketing and showing up on Instagram. And then we're going to ask ourselves, what would it be like if the opposite belief was true? So one of the beliefs that comes up a lot for my clients is it's really hard to call in dream clients. The opposite belief for that could be dream clients come into my life really easily. It could be as simple as that. So a lot of people have this other belief, like marketing means manipulation. So I don't want to do it because it means I'm like a bad person, because I'm like forcing people or something. There's this belief that it's bad. And then the opposite belief is marketing is simply me letting the right people know about my offers, inviting them into this space that I've cultivated that will help transform them, step into like a new, more powerful, embodied, like beautiful version of themselves, Like just that shift is like, oh my gosh, like realizing what it is that we're here to offer. Another example I have is I have to be in my masculine energy, this aggressive and pushy sales energy to get clients. The opposite of that could be I can be in my feminine energy and receive and magnetize with ease and grace. And here it's like you're not getting clients, you're inviting them in, you're receiving, you're calling them forward to you, you're magnetizing them. So there's that difference in energy that feels so much more expansive for feminine beings, right? Maybe you were taught you have to like push and chase and go after things in life, but like the feminine receives, the feminine calls in and magnetizes towards her. So I want you, when you have your list, you could just pick one for right now. Pick something that resonates with you, something like a negative belief you have. I'll give you a moment to do that. And then write the positive version of that one. And then as you recite the negative ones, see how it feels in your body. And when you recite the positive ones, see how it feels in your body. And ask yourself, like, which one serves why you started a business in the first place? Ultimately, we're all here because we have gifts that we want to help people with, and we want to have our needs met. We want to feel fulfillment. We want to be free. We want to make an impact. And so when you're stepping into this queen energy, when you're choosing the words and the beliefs that are empowering to you, everyone benefits. There's such a powerful frequency in the words that we choose to use, both in our copy and the way that we speak to yourself. So it's so important. And this is something like the way that I teach copywriting as well. It's like empowering. It's not digging into people's pain points, right? It's like letting them know we get them and also calling them forward with the language that we use, the frequency of the beliefs that we have. So we get to decide, you have the power to shift and step into this feminine leadership role. Christy's belief, amazing. If I post a certain way, it will come off as desperate. New belief. When I show up authentically, the right people are easily drawn to me. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And like, I already felt it like in my body, just reading that, like expansion and openness, right? So I love that. And that brings us to key number 3. A queen is embodied. So we just did this practice of tuning into our bodies, how it feels to use the language that we use. And then it comes to the body. A queen is deeply embodied. She walks the talk and she isn't performing. Ultimately, the offer that you're putting out into the world, you're the embodiment of it. Like you are sharing something that you've lived through. Like every single person that I attract, I don't even need to ask you, and I can ask you that, but like whether you have a business or not, I know if you're here, it's probably something deeply personal. You probably feel that mission, that why, like deeply, because it was a journey that you went through and you're excited to help people on that path. And so the question is, how aligned are you with what you're putting out into the world? Because a lot of the time we feel like we have to put on this show, we have to create in a specific way. And then it's like performing energy. And then you're like, am I actually even doing these things anymore? Like, am I just talking about doing them? And I fall into that cycle where I'm like, hey, I'm like talking about this ritual. And like, when's the last time that I did it, And so being aware of those pieces, like, for example, actually, like I'm a super big proponent of the feminine, of like putting your body and your pleasure first when it comes to your business, because we've really been taught the opposite, right? Hustle and grind. I studied business. I was in the business world and it was like the body did not matter, And so even for this launch, like a past version of me would have like pushed really hard for the 48 hours before and like wouldn't have done anything fun, I would have probably been really exhausted. And like, I noticed yesterday, like I went to this like beautiful dance class in the morning and like I worked on my slides and emails and like I did my stuff, but I took a long lunch, I spent the afternoon like cuddling with my man, and like just having like a really nice time. And I did my work, but I wasn't depriving myself of those pieces that were nourishing me, that were activating me. Okay, so today maybe I didn't have all the slides for the masterclass, right? Like I could have had like a slide for each one of the keys. And I was just like, I chose that me embodying what I preach, like what I share, embodying my offer, doing business the feminine way, putting like dance and pleasure and sensuality while getting my work done, but releasing this need of it having to be perfect. I chose in that moment, and this is our power of choice, to choose to be the embodiment, to do the thing that actually will be of greater service, because like my energy is more important than the slides, right? Like me showing up in my joy, you're going to feel that, my transmission will be felt more deeply because I'm like in my sacral, I activated my creative energy, through dance and like sensuality and all of that. And so it's not about getting it perfect. Who needs slide when you're Sabrina? Oh my God, I love you. Yeah, but like who needs slides when you're being yourself? Like who needs a perfect Instagram when you're being who you are? Like that's exactly the energy, that's what it is. Like you're all magic. Like you all have magic within you that's just like that wants to be activated. And there's another piece about how to help that be easier. We're going to get into it, but oh yeah, one last piece about the embodiment also is like yes, your embodiment and your energy is more important. And a lot of people think that this IG has to be hard and complicated and it can't be easy and fun and all the things. And so the hack here, when it comes to like being embodied in what you're teaching, is IG becomes easy because it's literally you taking from your life. Yes, we have pillars and we have like, we sit down and we do that, like we get the strategy down. But then on the day-to-day, to create that aliveness, to bring more of that like energy to your Instagram, like what are you sharing? Like it can be as easy as pulling things from your life. And this is like this is my thing. Like I love doing this and I do it with my clients all the time, is like pulling from their life, like what's going on. She's like, I don't know what to post. I'm like, talk about that. Like what's happening in your inner world. I'm like, talk about that. And we spit it in a way that is of service to your people, you know? And so you can share what's happening in your one-on-one containers, what's happening in your personal life, the conversations you're having with your friends. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like we're all connected in this web, right? There's this like collective like consciousness, especially when it's like these karmic connections with like our soulmate clients. It's like they're going through similar shit that you're going through, and you're on this path and you're devoted to the specific path. So you have wisdom for them in that. You know, and it doesn't mean you have to be perfect. You're going through it and you're sharing what's there. And then when you're doing that, it's like, you don't have to pull shit out of thin air. You don't have to copy people. You really get to be yourself. And that's the magnetism. And that's like so powerful. So, all right, this is the embodiment piece. You know, we talked about embodiment. Let's do a little embodiment practice. We've been in our minds a lot. So we're going to get into our bodies. So get comfortable. I'm going to play some music. All right. Let me know if you can hear it. It's like low right now, actually. Can you hear the music and hear my voice? Yeah? Okay. Perfect. So I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you. Take a deep breath in. Notice the sensations in your body. You don't have to try to change anything. If you feel tension, just notice it. Just be with whatever is coming up for you. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, releasing anything that you've been holding on to, any tension, letting it melt away. And I invite you to visualize a root extending from the base of your spine, going down through your chair, through the ground. This root is going through the layers of the earth, the dirt, connecting to the center of Mother Earth. And with each breath, you're drawing this light inside you. This dark light energy is coming up your root into your body, filling you up with light. And feel how connected and grounded you feel and supported you are by Mother Earth at all times. This energy is filling you up, going through your chakras, through your heart, up into your crown, beyond your head, connecting to the sky, connecting to the heavenly realms. You're connecting to the divine where you're always guided. You're always supported. Your higher self, your guides, your angels are there. And notice in this moment how you're fully connected to the sky, to spirit, to the spirit realms, and to the earth. And your heart is at the center. Your heart. Anchoring you down, balance between heaven and earth. And I want you to visualize a rose in this place, in this space. The rose is heart medicine. And dropping into this space. Feeling the love you have access to at all times. And I want you to start seeing yourself now in your favorite place in nature. So maybe it's a beach or a mountain or a forest, wherever you feel comfortable at peace. Notice yourself, notice everything around you, any sounds of animals, the feeling of the sun on your skin. And in the distance, you notice a beautiful palace. And you slowly walk towards it. And as you get closer, like notice all the details. What does it look like? What is the material like? What is it made of? And as you're entering this palace, you notice a giant mirror that you start to approach. And as you get close to this mirror, you notice this beautiful woman in the reflection. She's wearing a crown. And as you get closer, you realize that this woman is you. This is your inner queen. What is she wearing? How does she look? How does she move? How does she feel? What are the colors that surround her? What does her energy feel like? Does she have an element? Just be with her, notice the crown, if there's any jewels on it. What kind of queen are you? Maybe you're a Viking queen or queen of the jungle, or you're Cleopatra. Simply witness yourself. And you could even ask this queen version of you if she has any messages for you. If there's anything she wants you to know. If nothing comes, that's okay. And if she did give you a message, you can thank her. And slowly get close to the mirror and allow this reflection to merge and enter your body. Knowing that this queen is always inside you and you always have access to her. And so now I invite you to, if you can, stand up. And you can stand up, and I want you to just feel this energy and feel your crown on your head. You can place your hands on your hips. Have your chin up, your eyes can be open or closed, and just feel her power inside you. Our minds follow our body's positioning. So if there's ever a time that you feel small or you feel scared, you can always go into this power pose where your feet are rooted on the ground. Your hands on your hips, your chin up. And slowly your mind is just going to move like, wow, I'm confident, I'm powerful, I'm in my queen pose. You know, ruling over your queendom in this confident space, trusting yourself. And if you have any of those stories or obstacles that come up, you can imagine them in front of you getting smaller and smaller and smaller in the distance. You could even stomp it out, step on it if that feels good, or you can picture it in a bubble and you can picture it popping in front of you. Just letting those fears come and letting them dissolve. Knowing that the queen can see them, witness them, and let them go. And I invite you to tune in and see if there's knows that resonates with you? Is there something else you'd want to do that would feel even more like your style, that queen that came through? Allow yourself to move and to feel into if there's something that would resonate, that you can do whenever. You know, I'm allowing myself to move now and see if there's anything that comes through. And then hold that pose. And when you're ready, you can come back to your space and let yourself move like your queen. Explore her. Let yourself come back to your seat in that queen energy. And you can thank yourself, thank your queen, call back your root, call back your power to your heart space. And feel free to share anything that you saw, any messages from your queen, any wisdom that came through, how it felt to be in your power stance. Hi, Talia. Hands on the hips, right? You didn't expect it to feel so freaking powerful. It's such a small little thing that is like out of this world. It's so simple, but we can really, it's almost like tricking our minds into believing our bodies are really powerful, and you can lead with your body. And that's why embodiment is such a big piece of the work that I do and bring forward. It's like, okay, we can think our ways, think so much, but like if your body's not on board, there's no point. You had a glamorous beauty queen. Yes, Kemi, the crown on your head, full body chills. Yes. We're bottom up creatures. Beautiful. Yes, 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 yes. I love it. Yeah, and I'm so curious, like everyone has a different queen. I know like there's this idea of what the queen archetype is, but like she might be like, my queen is like wild, you know, she's not necessarily the queen that the idea I had in my head, you know, of what a queen is. It's really unique to us. Fanny, it's so funny. I saw a castle in my meditation this morning and it didn't understand why. Wow, the alignment. Yes. Yes, Talia, you'll catch your queen on the replay for sure. I'm excited to hear what she's like. Amazing. So good. So Talia, we started a little bit late, so we're going to go a little bit later. So you arrived just on time. We're at the, so if anyone else wants to share, feel free to share anything that came through your queen energy, what it was like, what it felt like. Sometimes it could just be a texture. Maybe you didn't see anything, and that's okay. Maybe it's just colors. It could just be the energy of it. Okay, barefoot, and I saw a silk white dress and gold crown with emeralds. Oh yes, I love that. So good. So beautiful. You can like access this anytime, and literally through either that pose, you can take a day to like walk through life as that queen, you know, write a post from that queen energy, show up on Instagram, embodying your queen that you saw in a red dress with gold jewels near the beach. Oh my God, I love that, Fanny. So good. Yeah, so this is really powerful energy you can tap into. I love working with archetypes because it's like a way to evoke this energy that's already within us, but having all those, our senses involved, really helps us bring it forward. So amazing. So I love, now we're all in this energy, we're all like feeling it, right? I'm sure you felt the energy shift going from your head to your body, and that was just a short, quick practice, right? It doesn't take a lot to get into this. Into this new sensation. And so I want to bring that into the next. So I'm going to actually share a slide here. Okay. So actually, well, let's go into the next key, which is a queen is strategic. So I like to bring this energy that we just created just through that meditation and simple like power stance and like slight movement, it wasn't a lot. We can, I like to go deeper in it sometimes. That was just like a little taste, but just to see how powerful you can, you can take 2 minutes in your day to do something like that and could shift everything. So that's the energy we bring in even to the strategy piece, right? Even into the more masculine aspects. So as we've been talking about a little bit more of the feminine, a little bit more of the embodiment, the mindset pieces, and the masculine is really important. Okay, so the foundations are really important. They're what are really going to help you have that confidence to show up. I know there's a lot of women coaches out there that are, they're talking a lot about these like, they're feeding these quantum leap dreams of like 100K months. And those things are possible. Like I have mentors who, they have 500K launches and all these things. And it's so beautiful to see that this is possible, right? And at the same time, there's a little bit of a disconnect where there's a lot of skipping of the foundational work. So to get to those quantum spaces and to like really work with just the feminine, like you need the masculine, like you need the foundations, you need to be rooted down. You need to have this solid idea of like who you are, where you're going, what you're doing, who you're speaking to, all those things, right? I really like to, I talk a lot about the feminine pieces, but the masculine is actually really fun. That's like your strategy. That's what's holding you and allowing your feminine, allowing all that playful expression to feel safe to come out. Because, a lot of you said, oh, there's that fear of judgment. There's the fear of like not doing it right. When you have the masculine holding you, it makes it so much easier to be like, okay, now I can play. Like now I can come out and be in this, I don't know, it was a wind gust, to be in this like playful, beautiful energy. So what does that look like? Like, what are those foundations? And I'll actually share the outline of the course that I'll be announcing at the end, because it really shows you what that looks like in terms of, where is it? Here it is. What that looks like in terms of like Instagram and your brand, So knowing your niche, understanding your soulmate client, right? That's the foundation, like who you're speaking to. And this is tying into our first key, right? Knowing yourself, because you are your niche. Like if you're on this path, it's because you've gone through your own heroine's journey and you're here to share the tools that you've mastered and the thing that you've studied, but it's also this embodied wisdom. So understanding yourself and understanding who you're speaking to is going to be step one. And that makes you showing up a lot clearer, a lot easier, because you're like, I'm talking to this person. And then all that fear of all the other people kind of falls away. You're like, you're not concerned with like, oh, that person from your past that's going to judge you. I know that came up earlier. Like, oh, that, that aunt or uncle or that cousin or that friend from high school or whatever. You're like, I'm not speaking to them. It's not for them. This is for my mission. And I'm speaking to this one person that I came here to help. Right. And then the next step is really understanding like your core message. Like, what do you stand for? And that's the messaging piece, right? That's what we talked about, speaking your truth. Having this solid content pillars, understanding what you're here to speak about, taking a stand and finding your unique angle with that, right? And that comes from owning who you are, owning your message, owning your power. And then the next step is your voice. And we spoke about that as well. That's also tied into the truth. And this is not only the truth, being honest with yourself, where you're in that victim consciousness and where you can step into queen consciousness, but it's also like how to write copy using principles of ethical sales psychology. There's a lot of like manipulative shit out there, and I really don't like that. So I focus on like really ethical sales copy that calls people forward. And it's also better for you, because the thing is, if you're focusing on like, tricking people or using scarcity to like make them sign up, or all these things that people do to get people into their programs, like the people that you're going to attract are going to be in a state of anxiety, and they might not be aligned, right? Because when you want to call people forward into their highest, right? Into who they're becoming. You don't want to poke at where they're like, oh, hey, like you have this problem and like I have the solution and I'm the only one who has the solution. Like all this stuff that I'm bringing forward for you, like you can leave this masterclass and go do it on your own, right? It's like your choice. Like I'm inviting you into a space that's like fun, that helps you feel supported, that helps you get, go through it a little bit quicker because I've done it and like my clients have gone through it. So you'll be like, okay, like this is a methodology that helps and that can help, right? But this stuff, you can go find your own version of it or do trial and error and all of that. So we don't have to force people to come into our containers. Like you want to invite them in and use copy that inspires them, right? And activates them. So that's the piece. It's like the words that you're using. And then there's the aesthetic. There's the, okay, yeah, no worries. If you have to leave, no problem. We started a bit late, so totally fine. The fourth chapter is your aesthetic, right? It's like creating that vibe. And that's the whole branding piece, right? Like branding is really like what creates that sense of like emotion, that sense of connection. There's that like subconscious attraction to the visuals, color psychology and things like that. And it creates that sense of consistency and like attraction to what you're doing. So of course, it's great for your business and also on that more concrete level. But I also want to share this kind of like little secret about branding is that like, especially the visual branding, is that it's really for you first, in the sense that it inspires you to show up. Because the feminine loves beauty, and the feminine in you and the feminine in your clients will be really activated by that. But ultimately, it's like when I'm creating beautiful canvas for myself or my clients, there's an excitement and a love that's infused into it. Same goes with writing copy, right? It's like when you're brewing your cacao and you're setting intentions, right? You're putting all this energy into it. It's the same thing with your visual branding, with your content. It becomes infused with your essence and your energy. And so it inspires you to show up and you're like excited because you're like, oh my God, my Instagram's beautiful. And like, it feels really good and I want to show it to people and I'm proud of it. And like, I'm creating all this beautiful stuff. And it's magnetic because your energy is in it, your love for it is in it. So it's not just the concrete visuals, like, okay, you're following the branding and all of that stuff, and you're following like the color psychology and things like that. It's really because you're in love with it and your energy is in it, and that's magnetizing people who are aligned with that to you. So that's something I love diving into. I love visual branding. Like, as you can see, like it's something I really, really enjoy doing, and like photos and things like that. So that is part of like what I really like to teach. And then finally, like marketing, organic growth, ways to build relationships and to connect on Instagram, to grow your Instagram in a way that feels good without using ads, without like any of those like icky techniques. And trusting that the people that are there, like it's really quality over quantity. It's really following these steps so that you are in the space of really trusting that it really doesn't matter like about the algorithm and all those pieces. Like lately I've noticed that like the views are going down and everything's going down, but I'm like, my energy is so good. I feel like, and all the women that are here today, I'm like, I love your energy. Like, I love everyone that showed up. I'm like, I feel like this is one of my best launches, like I feel so good about it. And that's what matters, right? So that's the piece on the foundations and the strategy. It's really like having this solid base to build on. And then you start building and you start playing a little bit more. But if you don't have like the structure, you won't feel held and you won't feel safe to show up. So a lot of you that are like, it feels weird to show up. It's because maybe there's a piece of you that doesn't feel 100% with like the foundations. So, and that's also like our own inner masculine as well, right? It's being able to hold ourselves. And that's why all the other pieces are really important as well. So finally, we're coming to an end. The key number 5 is a queen is supported. So your environment really matters. And also this idea that you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to rule alone. So a queen, she's like this sovereign, powerful being, but she has a board of advisors, like she had mentors, she had people helping her. And like, I found personally that that's been a way that I've grown so much, is from being around other women that are on the path that I'm on, that are living the life I want to live, that are living or showing up on Instagram the way that I want to show up. And that's what inspires me, whether it's like being in a group coaching program, or like having a mentor, or even just like sisterhood circles, or just like the friends I surround myself with. Like, that helps you grow so much, and a lot quicker, because you're like, wait, it's possible. And on a subconscious level, your mind is going, okay, like I can have this too. And yes, it can be like in a coaching environment, but also I'm talking your environment in general, because something that blocks a lot of people is like the people that are telling them it's not possible around them, right? They're like, yeah, you can't, you have to have a normal job. You can't just live your dream life. Like, that's not possible. And it's like, there's a bunch of people out there doing it. So why would you believe that person that's not living your dream? It's really about like surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, who are living that, who are on that path. And so you can start like right now by like just who you're following on Instagram, right? Like, follow women that express the way you want to express, that don't give a shit. Maybe your thing is like, oh, I feel like my Instagram's too messy. Then follow someone who's super messy, like, and is super successful. Like Sister Shanti comes to mind. Like, she's this like has a huge Instagram following, is amazing, activating, but her Instagram is like a big old mess, and that's okay. Like, that's her style. Like, personally, like, I love making things beautiful. They're still messy, but there's like a beauty element to it, and I found people that kind of like relate to that and that express, and they're just like bold and they don't give a shit. And I'm like, yeah, that's the energy I want, right? So find those people that represent that for you already, and then surround yourself with those people in your life. And like, maybe limit the time or like that you spend with people that don't believe in the path that you want to take, like you're able to set boundaries. And even on Instagram, if you want to mute people or delete people, like full permission to do that, like it's your space, you get to make it feel good for yourself. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And in terms of the 5 keys, so I could show you the slide that summarizes them in case that names them. I actually forgot that I had it. Let me share it with you. Share screen. So those are the 5 principles that we went through. I invite you to do the homework, like the home play, the kind of exercises that I shared, to go deeper into them. They're going to really like create powerful shifts, just that alone. And then if you're looking for support, I do have a group program that I kind of showed you the outline for already, that I'm launching now. And it's basically, if you want to be in that space of like sisterhood, of women on that path that are on that journey, and you want to really lay those solid foundations, it's a blend of the masculine and the feminine, but there is a heavy emphasis on like the actual tangible. So this is for the woman who's really like looking to grow, to create that solid structure for herself so that her feminine can flourish. And it's a 5-week group container. So it's short. You have like workbooks. It's quite, I think 5 weeks is like a good amount of time. Initially, I was going to make it like way shorter, but I feel like one session a week is going to be really powerful. And yeah, it's really here to help you build that content strategy that allows you to feel confident to show up online in the way that you want to, so you can have the impact that you want, so you can call in the clients that are really like aligned with your mission, that really feel you. So it's kind of a feminine way of doing it. And so this was the outline that we already went through. And essentially it's really it's really for you if you've been looking for that kind of container, that kind of support. If you're looking, okay, so it could be for you if you're looking to launch an IG brand with your heart, with soul, with authenticity. Or it could be for you if you're already like, you already have your business, you know, maybe you're a health coach, or priestess, or soulpreneur, whatever it is that you're doing. You're maybe giving workshops offline and you feel really embodied in that, but the Instagram online is kind of like, like I don't feel so 100% about it and I want to feel solid. Like this could also really be for you, and it will be done in a way that honors your feminine nature. And it's also great if you're just looking for a refresh on your branding. Like I'm going to be going through it with all of you because I'm launching a new Instagram focused on just the business side of like my brand, the embodied branding, my one-on-one coaching, kind of more of this. And so I went through it again, and something that I've been, you know, teaching a lot of my one-on-one clients over the years. And I came back to it and I was like, oh shit, like this is amazing. I want to go through it again myself. So it's great for you at any stage of your business. And it helps you to really feel solid before you step into that next stage of like sexy biz development and like content growth, you know, like what you might be seeing on Instagram that feels like, okay, that's maybe down the line. Like this is the stuff that will help you feel solid before stepping into that. So for today, and I'm doing it, so I have a special offer for today. For all of you, to thank you for being here, you can use the code IGQueen to save $111 on the program. And I did it at a price point. It's an investment that I feel is so good because I really want women doing this work. Like I want an army of women that are just like on this path and just launching their business or refining their business and just showing up online. And so the price point is $555. It's going to be $555, but for you, you're going to get it for $444. And the first 5 women that join are going to get a 30-minute one-on-one session with me. So that could be used in any way you want. We can look at specifically like your brand, your business, what you want. We can either do it at the beginning of the program if you want to save it for after and you have questions. That could be really nice as well. And it's 5 weeks and there's a Telegram group that comes with it. So there's going to be support the whole time. We're going to be connected. You could ask your questions there. I love Telegram. I kind of voice noting is like one of my favorite things to do. Like I kind of want to just do voice note containers sometimes. I'm like, it's so fun. Like I feel like it's like live support where you can really drop into flow. So there's going to be that, and yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions about that or about anything that we talked about today, don't be shy. Usually this program, when I initially started, it was like a $2,000 program, like when I first launched it. And it's really valuable, like just the workbooks alone. Like Camille, who was in here, she went through that first program and she was just like, just the workbooks are worth like what I'm selling it for now. So it's great. It's going to be really great content. Are the group calls to go over content? So the group calls, oh, thank you, Talia. Yeah, Talia embodied branding with me one-on-one for 6 months, and like, yeah, it was incredible. You grew so much. Are there group calls to go over content, when they would be? So the group calls will be the content, and then after there's a Q&A at the end. So I'll stay on afterwards to answer any questions that come up. And then the workbook stuff, you could bring it to the next session, or you can pop into the Telegram to ask your questions, and then I'll support you there. Oh, Talia, I love it. Past coaches told me my posts were too long. People don't read them. And now I see how my true soulmate clients actually sign up with me because they read my posts and resonate with the depth. It gets to be your way. Exactly. Me too. It was always like, it's too long, it's too long. But our people, they're deep. Like we attract deep women, right? Like I don't believe in the speak to the 4th grader, you know, speak in a 4th grade language. People are busy. They don't understand. It's like, yeah, they're busy. But when it's powerful truth that comes from the heart, like people will read, you know. And of course there's like ways to get, you know, to command that attention, to draw people in so they actually read it. But it doesn't mean you have to change like the depth of your message and your heart. So for the days and times of the group calls, it's probably going to be Wednesdays and Fridays alternated. I haven't finalized the time yet, but it'll probably be around this time, like noon, 1 p.m. Eastern. But depending on who's in the container, and I'll like, you know, we'll see where everyone's from and all of that stuff with time zones, and we'll figure something out that will work for people. And then of course you have the replays.